Hearing the Shrimad Bhagavatam. So we'll quickly start with Mangalacharan. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadaviyam Bhati Swapadadikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Shatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopi Radha Kanta Namostate तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च आस्मभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, I welcome you all for the Shrimad Bhagavatam class. We're going to start with the 28th chapter, the very first shloka. So let's just quickly dive into it. So if you see with this chapter, the chapter Kapil Dev, who is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, he is giving instructions to his mother Devahuti. Now, Devahuti in herself is a very self-realized soul. But just as in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna chose Arjuna to speak the Bhagavad Gita, similarly, Kapil Dev chooses his mother to speak his own teachings, where there is a question-answer session going on. So Srila Prabhupada says that there is no difference between the Supreme Lord's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita and Kapil Dev's teaching away, because of course Kapil Dev is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord itself. So from here, this chapter particularly, he starts speaking on Ashtanga Yoga, where we'll dive into the Ashtanga Yoga section. And previously also in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna in the 6th chapter, in the 5th chapter, he's given a little glimpse of the Ashtanga Yoga. But over here, we'll see that how Ashtanga Yoga is helpful for a particular yogi to actually attain self-realization. So, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Okay, you all will be repeating after me? Oh, what time?
Mataji, they can read. If one of us can call out their names. And if you want, you can read the shloka once. After that, they will follow.
Sure. Maybe we can just do it the temple way. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Yogasya Lakshana Vakshe.
योगस्य लक्षणं वक्ष्ये
अबीजस्य नृपात्मजे
बीजस्य नृपात्मजे
येनैव विधिना प्रसन्न याति सत्पथम् Somebody would like to repeat?
Mataji. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Yogasya Lakshanam Vakshe Sabijasya Nrupatmaje Mano Yenaiva Vidhina Prasannam Yati Satpatam. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Pranams.
One more person? Somebody else would like to volunteer?
Hare Krishna Mataji, should we read the translation also and purport?
Yeah, maybe you could read the translation.
Okay, Mataji. Shanti Mataji, you can read the translation, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mata, you said my name?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The personality of Godhead said, "My dear mother, O daughter of the king, now I shall explain to you the system of yoga, the object of which is to concentrate the mind. By practicing this system, one can become joyful and progressively advance towards the path of the absolute truth." Thank you, Mata.
Yeah. So, thank you so much. So, in this first shloka, if you see that when he says that yogasya lakshanam vakshe, I shall speak about the characteristics of yoga. And sabijasya means which is dependent on bhakti. And then he says that ye naiva vidhina, by following which, with means when you follow some vidhi or some path, mana yati prasannam sat pathanam. So when somebody is actually following this path, or when somebody is dependent on this, then he's saying that the mind attains joyful spiritual path. Sat pathan, patham. Path means, the path, right? So he attains the spiritual path. So over here, if you see that the Supreme Lord is going to describe to his mother Bhakti Mishra Yoga. And one who follows this Bhakti Mishra Yoga, his mind attains this joyful spiritual path. When you say Sabijasya means it is, it is taking the support like of Ashtanga. Bhakti Yoga is taking the support of, Ashtanga Yoga. So the ultimate goal of yoga is to realize the presence of God within the heart. Now, many of us, have this this question that what exactly is Ashtanga Yoga? So, of course, the 8 mystic perfections of, or the yogic siddhis of Anima, Laghima, So, the perfection for somebody, could be a yogi when he enters into the sun planet simply by using the sun rays of the shine. Then the perfection will be Laghima. And similarly, if a yogi can touch the moon with his finger, then that siddhi is called Prapti or acquisition. Or with his Prapti Siddhi, not only this yogi can touch the planet, but he can extend his hand also anywhere, take it wherever he likes. He may be sitting thousands of miles away from a certain place, and if he likes, he can, even take a fruit from a garden from there. So this is actually Prapti Siddhi. And the Yoga Siddhi is known as Ishta. Like one can create or destroy a particular planet simply by, his will. Another perfection is called Vasita. Means like he can bring anyone under his control. So there are many other, mystic perfections also, like some, this is called Prakamya or something like magic. This Prakamya is such a this that a person can achieve anything he likes. He can make water enter into his eye, or he can again come out of within that eye. So there are many others also, like Kamya Vashishta also, that you can contradict nature also as such. So these all siddhis are mentioned, of course, in the Nectar of Devotion. But what is Ashtanga Yoga? When Jnana Yoga or a Jnana Yogi, he increases his meditation on the super soul by different, physical processes, and the mind is on the Supreme Lord, then that is called Ashtanga Yoga. And Ashtanga Yoga is a practice where you concentrate the mind you release your mind from all the other engagements by doing regular meditation, concentration, sitting in one place, blocking all the movements of, the internal circulation of the air. And the Bhagavatam gives this particular definition in the second canto, if you must have read. The 5th chapter gives a proper description of the Ashtanga Yoga. And in that 5th chapter also of the second canto, there is a proper dimension given also. If this Ashtanga yogi who is focusing on the Paramatma, then he has a choice. Either he goes to the higher planetary systems, or he actually, can migrate from those also higher planetary systems directly to the spiritual world. So this particular Ashtanga yoga system is actually a materialistic art of controlling the air by transferring it from the stomach to the navel, and from the navel to the heart, from the heart to the collarbone, and from the collarbone to the eyeballs, and from there it goes to the cerebellum, and then from the cerebellum it goes to the desired planet, whatever he's desiring. Now somebody might ask that, okay, we are doing bhakti yoga, then this Ashtanga yoga is meant for whom? So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter says that this is a process of restriction from sense enjoyment. You have rules and regulation, niyam and asanas and all that, yam and niyamas. And it is like exactly like, he gives an analogy also. He says that it's like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient does not like, those eatables, but or he doesn't like those restrictions, and such restrictions, he does not lose his taste also for, eatables. So sense restriction by some spiritual process, is like Ashtanga yoga. So in this matter of yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, etc., you'll be seeing in the next shlokas as such. It is actually recommended for less intelligent people who have no knowledge of the Supreme Lord. And still there are others who are engaging themselves in very different kinds of mystic yogas, like, Patanjali is there, or Hatha Yoga, or some people travel to all the, sanctified places of pilgrims. All these processes or all these practices are called yoga yanjana, or sacrifice for a certain type of perfection in this material world. So now somebody might ask that, okay, it is meant for such less intelligent people, but then what is the purpose of this Ashtanga yoga? So this Ashtanga yoga is a mechanical way to control the senses in the mind and divert it from matter to spirit. But the preliminary processes are, the sitting posture or the meditation or whatever are our spiritual thoughts, or when you are manipulating the passing the air within the body. And there is a gradual situation in trance, and you're facing the Supreme Person as such. So such mechanical ways, of rising to the spiritual platform, they prescribe some regulative principles, like taking a bath daily 3 times, or fasting as far as possible, or sitting in a concentrated position, or on some spiritual matters. And that's how people become, or the yogis become, free from that vishaya or material objects. And Patanjali also has said that when one is fixed on constantly fixed, or one is fixed in constant realization of the Supreme Lord, or the form of the Supreme Lord, he has attained a perfectional stage. And of course, Kardam Muni, Kapil Dev's own father, has also attained that perfection stage. So unless one attains this stage of perfection, beyond the perfection of these preliminaries of this yoga system, there is no ultimate realization. And that is why the purpose of this is to, come to this ultimate achievement of self-realization of this particular yoga practice. And somebody might ask, okay, we are there, we have known about this, the purpose, what whom it is meant for. But what is this, Ashtanga Yoga? What are its features? And how is it, practiced? What is to be done? So, in a nutshell, I'll tell you what is this, what are the features of Ashtanga Yoga. That it is understood as Ashtanga Yoga or Siddhi Yoga, or even the eightfold perfections in yoga. So you have Yam, Niyam, Asan. Okay. And by dint of this perfection, as I mentioned previously, somebody can become lighter than the lightest and heavier than the heaviest, and he can go wherever he likes and he can achieve whatever opulences he wants. And there are 8 such perfections. So who are those people who have attained these perfections? The Sapta Rishis or the 4 Kumaras who reached, Vaikuntha by becoming lighter than the lightest. And that's how they actually went till the Vaikuntha, passing over this space of this material world. So sometimes model mechanical space vehicles are, very unsuccessful because they cannot go to the highest region of this material creation. They cannot even enter the spiritual sky. But by the perfection of the yoga system or the Ashtanga Yoga, not only one can travel through the material space, but he can even surpass the material space and enter the spiritual sky. So, of course, at present, the scientists, they calculate that if one could travel at the speed of light, and it could take even 40,000 years to reach the highest planet of this material world. But a yoga system can carry, somebody just without any difficulty or without any limitations as such. But there are deviations and there are distortions in the Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga has its own limitations. And uh, even in the Vedic times, if you see, Dhruv Maharaj had already been instructed how to practice Ashtanga Yoga. And because Ashtanga Yoga, he settled his mind and then he concentrated his mind on the form of the Lord. So Ashtanga Yoga is not some bodily gymnastic exercise, but it is a practice to concentrate the mind on the form of the Supreme Lord. But sitting on his asana, and then you cleanse yourself nicely, clear it with sacred water nicely, and then you can have a bath in the Yamuna or the Ganges. And Narad Muni had also instructed Dhruv Maharaj to go to the bank of this Yamuna, and that's how externally he became purified. So externally somebody becomes gradually purified, but in the science of self-realization, in one of the chapters, Prabhupada says that one has to select a secluded place. Then he has to execute it alone without the association of devotees. He has to sit in a very rigid position. He has to lead a life of complete celibacy. And there are many, many rules and regulations in the Ashtanga Yoga. So that is why this Ashtanga Yoga meditation is not possible. If one is satisfied by imitating, well, that's a very different, thing. But if somebody wants perfection, then he has to execute all the 8 stages of Ashtanga Yoga. And if this is not possible, then it is a sheer waste of time. So that is why, if you see that this Ashtanga Yoga, so we have Yogeshwar Shiva also, and we have Yogeshwar Krishna also. So what is the difference? So when we say that with Yogeshwar Krishna, there is a shlok, Krutavo Dakshine Swayam Pada Padamam Cha Jauni Bhum Prakshato Akshamalam Asinam Taraka Mudrayah. So here they say that his left leg was placed on his right thigh, and his left hand was placed on his left thigh, and his right hand is holding, Rudraksha beads, because this is the description of Lord Shiva. And this sitting posture is called Virasana. And he sat in this Virasana posture, and his finger was in the mode of, Asinam Tarka Mudraya. Tarka means argument. So that's how, so when the sitting posture of Virasana is there, so it is actually according to, Ashtanga Yoga only. And then, of course, there are Yam, Niyam, and controlling, and there are many other rules and regulations, and Padmasana and Siddhasana, and all these things. But if you see, the practice of these asanas without even elevating oneself to this position of realizing the super soul who's within our heart is actually not the perfectional stage of yoga. So Lord Shiva is called Yogeshwara, the master of all the yogis. And Krishna is also called Yogeshwara. So Yogeshwara is saying that it is indicating that no one can surpass the yogic practice of Lord Shiva. And Yogeshwara indicates that one can pass the yogic perfection of Krishna. Like another significant word is Tarka Mudra. Tarka Mudra means what? That the fingers are opened and the second finger is raised along with the arm to impress the audience with some subject matter. So that is like a symbolic representation. So in a nutshell, this is what now Kapil Muni is going to explain to us about Ashtanga Yoga, which we'll be seeing in the subsequent shlokas. So let's dive into the second shloka.
Hare Krishna. Shall I ask Mataji for the devotees to read?
Yes, sure.
Thank you, Mataji. Sudha Mataji, you can read the shloka. Vrishabhanu Mataji, you can read the translation. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी दंडवत स्वधर्माचरणं शक्त्या विधर्माच निवर्तनं दैवालब्धेन संतोष आत्मविचरणार्चनम्. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation Mataji. Vrishabhanu Mataji, you can read the translation.
Reshmanu Mataji, are you there? Mataji, give it to someone else.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji. Yes,
Yes,
Mataji, Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One should execute his prescribed duties to the best of his ability and avoid performing duties not allotted to him. One should be satisfied with as much gain as he achieved by the grace of the Lord, and one should worship the lotus feet of a master. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So now if you see with this particular second shloka, what he's saying is that Swadharma Acharam Shaktya. One must follow one's duties of Varnashram and to his best ability. And then he's saying that Vidharmat cha nirvatanam. He's saying that you should nirvatanam means vidharma means you should avoid sin. And then he's saying that daival labdhena santosha. So whatever is coming according to my own accord, I should be satisfied with that. And he's saying atma with charana archanam. He's saying that one should worship the Supreme Lord's feet and he should do archanam, or that is deity worship. This is what he's saying. So from this particular second shloka onwards, the yam and niyam are going to start. Our Ashtanga yoga is there. First is yam and then second is niyam. So the key words would be over here swadharma archanam or shaktya or vidharma cha niritam or daivat labdhena santosha atmavid charanam. And these, if you see, when over here Kapil Dev is saying about swadharma. Swadharma means what? Prabhupada says in his lecture that Swadharma means that one may be in the goodness, one may be in the passion, one may be in the ignorance, and one may be like a mixture also. And it is divided into four: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So Bhagavad Gita teaches us that anyone, if he worships the Supreme Lord by Swadharma, because we have two duties. We have material duties also, and we have spiritual duties also. Material duties, I might be a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. I might be a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Sannyasi, or, Vanaprastha. But I have a spiritual duty also towards the Supreme Lord. I have my spiritual duties also. And according to my Varna and according to my Ashrama, I will balance out my material duties and my spiritual duties also. And that is how, by his occupational duty, he can become perfect. Like, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, he was a military man, he was a Kshatriya, and his swadharma is to fight. So, that fighting capacity that Arjuna has as a Kshatriya, he can engage himself in the service of Krishna. And that is how he can become a devotee of Krishna. Of course, he's a devotee of Krishna, but Krishna over there says that you can become a devotee. So that is why Krishna certified him as Bhakto Asi. What did he do? He did not chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Of course, he was chanting Hare Krishna mantra constantly because he's thinking about Krishna, but he had no other business than to think of Krishna. But by formality, he did not become a Vaishnava or chanting, but he was always thinking of Krishna. And therefore, he is certified as the foremost yogi. That is why he says, Yogi Nam Api Sarvesham. So, what is the trick? The trick is, how shall I always think of Krishna even when I'm engaged in my occupational duty? And that will make me perfect. So, Prabhupada says that the real Swadharma is to be attached to Krishna. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. But because we have got this material body, we have got this bodily concept of life, and we are put into this body. But the real Swadharma is to be attached to Krishna. And that is why in the Bhagavatam it says, Savai Pumsa Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radokshaje. Ahetu ki apratihata yeyatma suprasiddhati. So what is the supreme occupation of all the people at all the times is to attain loving devotional service toward the Supreme Lord. And such devotional service or such bhakti has two characteristics. One is ahetuki and one is apratihata. One is unmotivated and uninterrupted. And this only unmotivated and uninterrupted bhakti will completely satisfy that particular person. So, the Vedas have two paths exactly. One is the Pravritti Marg and the Nivritti Marg. Pravritti Marg is the path of sense enjoyment, but the Nivritti Marg is the path of renunciation. So, of course, the Pravritti Marg is a very inferior path, and the Nivritti Marg is a very superior path. But at all times, if a person knows that what is my purpose of doing this bhakti, and what is my original dharma, because we know that dharma means somebody's original constitutional position. So my original constitutional position is what? My original constitutional position is to serve the Supreme Lord. That is my original constitutional position. Prabhupada, in one of the purports of the Bhagavatam, he says that the word dharma is that which sustains one's existence. So, so the living entity's sustenance of existence is to coordinate his activities with his eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. And Krishna is that central pivot for the living entities. Why? Because, of course, he's all attractive and he's eternal. And every living being, has his eternal form in the spiritual existence. And Krishna is that eternal attraction for, for all of the living beings that are there. So why? Because Krishna is the complete whole, and everything else is a part and parcel of Krishna. So there is this relation of the servant and the served, and it's a very transcendental relationship, and it is this particular relationship is a complete distinct from what we experience in the material world or the material existence. So that is why it's a more intimate relationship. And once when a person starts uh, serving the Supreme Lord, then uh, he can slowly and steadily, come out of his present conditional state of this particular material existence, and then he will give his life slowly and gradually for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So if you see in this particular shloka, where he's saying that uh, uh, one should be doing his varnashrama dharma. He should avoid sins. He should be satisfied with what it comes, which means what? That daiva labdhena santosha. So he should have santosh, means he should have satisfaction. Means what? He should not do atya ahara. Where in the nectar of devotion also atyahara prayasascha. Collecting and eating more than necessary also, is called prayas, or unnecessary endeavor that we call. So by the Supreme Lord's arrangement, anyone in the any part of the world, he can very live peacefully. Where Prabhupada says that you have one land and and a cow to milk. There is no need for anybody to move at any other place for his livelihood. And he can produce sufficient amount of food grains in his local area only, and he can solve all his economic problems. But Prabhupada says that human beings have been given a higher intelligence for cultivation of Krishna consciousness, or understanding his relationship with Krishna, which is actually the ultimate goal of life. But what people are doing is that they are not satisfied, and they're utilizing their intelligence to get more than necessary, and he's simply eating to satisfy his tongue. Now you see people, binge, and when they're in stress, they eat a lot. So that all is, not recommended over here, because uh, Prabhupada says that in human society, by the Supreme Lord's arrangement, there is sufficient scope for this production of milk and grains all around the world. And instead of misusing this intelligence to produce something which is not necessary and which is unwanted, we better actually focus on developing our relationship with Krishna. Because Prabhupada says that human life is meant for God realization. And because of this only reason, the human beings have been given a higher intelligence for this purpose. And those who believe that, okay, yes, this is higher intelligence, it is meant for higher state, then they will follow these Vedic scriptures. Otherwise, a particular person, he will engage in something, different, without taking any higher instructions from higher authorities, and he will not live a meaningful life. But if he takes instructions from the higher authorities, he can actually become very much well situated in perfect knowledge and give real meaning to life. Where in the Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami is actually telling the proper what is human dharma. He says that dharma hi apavargasya nartho arthyo kalpate, narthasya dharma kantasya kamo labha hi smritaha. So he's saying that whatever our occupational duties are there, they are meant for only ultimate liberation. And that is why any occupational duty should never be performed for any material gain. And uh, uh, and one who is engaged in that particular service, then he should never use that material gain. If he's gained some money, then he should not use that money for sense gratification. He should use that money in the service of the Lord. So that is why when he's saying that dharma hi apavargasya, this religion uh, is meant for attaining emancipation. It is not meant for getting some bread and butter. But sometimes in the human society is manufacturing some so-called religion, which is saying that okay, material advancement is only the highest, and that is only the real dharma. But if we see that this particular so-called idea is far away from this purpose of true dharma, because religion religion is entailing the understanding the laws of God, because when we act according to the laws of God, or when we act according to the Supreme Lord's orders, then slowly and steadily we will come out of this material entanglement, and we'll move towards the true purpose of religion. But nowadays they manufacture their own religion, and people accept religion for material prosperity only. So they're saying we want more money, more money. That is called atya ahar, or excessive desire for wealth, prosperity. But true religion is instructing that how should we be satisfied with the bare necessities of life while we are cultivating Krishna consciousness. So see, and Prabhupada says jivasya tattva jigyasa, the real purpose of life is to inquire about the absolute truth. And if our endeavor or our prayas is not actually to inquire about the absolute truth, then we will simply increase our endeavor to satisfy our artificial needs. And that is why we spiritual seekers or we spiritual aspirants should not over endeavor for material prosperity or economic development or dharma, artha, kama, moksha, any of this. So, Prabhupada says that the reason for this prayas is actually prajalpa also, unnecessary talking. When we mix, with new friends, immediately there is some unnecessary talking. Prabhupada says that it's just like croaking of the toads. And if we want to speak, we can speak only about, Krishna consciousness. So prajalpa means anything that is not related to Krishna consciousness or serving Krishna. Like, for example, the gopis, what they used to do is, because of course there is Ashta Praharya Leela in this spiritual world. Okay. So from one Leela to the other Leela, they have to constantly keep serving. So in the morning, when it's dawn, so all the parrots of Vraja will go around and inspect that particular area in Vraja. That is this place conducive for Radha Krishna's pastimes to happen. It may be, Jhulan pastime, or it may be the boat pastime, or it may be, just, sitting under the tree. Any pastime, or it might be just, the singing pastime. So these particular pastimes which are there, the parrots will go and isko Hindi mein kehte moina karke, they'll inspect that particular place, and they'll come back and they will inform Yoga Maya of Vrinda Devi, right, who's an expansion of Srimati Radharani itself. Now what they will do is they will discuss among themselves first that okay, what we have to do, what is required, which musical instruments are required, which paraphernalias are required, what is the bhoga item required as such, and as such, these activities, when they are discussing them, that is not called prajalpa, because that activity is related to the service of the Supreme Lord. Because everybody's focus, right from the gopis to the manjaris to the sakhis to the animals to even because over here everything is matter, but in the spiritual world everything is spirit. So their consciousness is completely in Krishna only. Now, you might ask me a question. You might say that over here, how is it possible? When we meet in the temple, we are talking to devotees. We are asking, how are you and how are your children? And, is that Prajalpa or is it, comes under Krishna consciousness? See, when to a certain extent, when you ask a devotee, how are you and how's your spiritual well-being and how are your children and how is everything? And it's showing concern for that particular devotee because the devotee is also living in the material world. But beyond that, if people are discussing about some socio-political schemes or play cards or watching television or some debates and all, then this is actually comes into Prajalpa. But for example, there is Rath Yatra going to happen, and devotees come and they discuss. A lot of churning happens. Or if a particular other festival like book distribution festival is there, and if the devotees come in and they get together and they say, okay, this time what is the plan or what is the scheme? So these discussions are not Prajalpa. These discussions are Krishna conscious, talks only itself. So and that is why from Prajalpa, and how does Prajalpa arises is because of Janasangasya. Janasangasya means associating with people who are not really interested in Krishna conscious. So that is why in the nectar of devotion, it's said that one should strictly avoid such association. And that is why even Srila Narottama Das Thakur also has advised us that to live only in the association of Krishna conscious devotees. Bhakta Sange Vasa. And one should always engage in the service of the Lord in the association of devotees only, because association with those devotees engaged in a similar line of business is very conducive to these advancement of that particular business. So for example, my mood is book distribution, so I'll associate with those devotees who are ardent book distributors, or I'll keep on hearing their classes or lectures where it will help me develop my mood. Or somebody is into deity worship, I'll associate with those devotees who are ardent deity worshippers in the temple at their own homes as such. And that is how consequently, we will reduce our association from material to spiritual. Because see, even in the material circle also, people from different associations, they have their clubs and they have their own plans and everything, like, okay. So like for example, the Bombay Stock Exchange, right, they also have their own institutions. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada also has established this international society for Krishna consciousness to give people an opportunity to associate with those people who have forgotten Krishna. And this is a spiritual association which is is offered by Srila Prabhupada, and this movement is increasing day by day. Many people from different parts of the world are joining, and they gather once in a year either at the Kartik festival or the Gaur Punim festival. So that is why Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur also says that too much of endeavor, to acquire something is really not healthy for a spiritual life. Which means what? Too much of, knowledge or mental speculation or dry philosophy. This also falls into actually atyahara, collecting what is more than necessary. And that is why Bhagavatam says that the endeavor for these spiritual speculators to write volumes of books is just a dry philosophy, because nothing about Krishna consciousness is written in that. And it is exactly like, a karmi who's writing a book, volumes of books on economic development. And that is why this is called Atya Ahar also. And these karmis labor a lot for, what do you say, doing Atya Ahar also. And then he says that, because we're speaking about rules and regulations as such. So he says that Niyam Agraha also. See, there is Agraha and this is Agraha. In the nectar of devotion, there is said Niyam Agraha and Agraha. Agraha means eagerness to accept. But agraha means failure to accept. So when we have these two words, so when you say word niyama, so rules and regulations, and niyama agraha is formed. So it's like a compound word, niyama and agraha. And this niyama agraha has twofold meaning also. And it is a combination of two words. So those who are interested in Krishna consciousness should be eager to accept the rules and regulations as such. Sorry, should not be eager to accept rules and regulations for economic development, but they should accept the scriptural rules and regulations for advancing Krishna consciousness, and they should strictly follow also those regulative principles. Like we have 4 regulative principles given by Srila Prabhupada: illicit sex and no meat eating and gambling and intoxication. So of course in that also it comes, you should not associate with the Mayavadis, and because Mayavadis are Krishna Paradis, and Bhukti Kamis are, they are those people who are interested only in material happiness. And Mukti Kamis are those people who are desiring liberation by merging into the existence of the Supreme Lord. Then there are Siddhi Kamis also. They want perfection of mystic yogas. So these all, Mayavadis, Bhukti Kamis, Mukti Kamis, Siddhi Kamis, they all are, into one category of Atyaharas. And then that is why we should not associate with such people. And Jana Sangasya Lolyacha, there is greed. There is so much of greed for whimsical material prosperity. And they just want to have material benefits as such, but they forget, spiritual advancement. And that is why Srila Rupa Goswami has, advised us that we should not collect more than necessary. And even in the Ishopanishad, it is said that how can an ideal society be formed? Isavasa idam sarvam yat kinjana jagat tyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita ma grida kasya swavidhanam. So one should accept only those things which are necessary for himself, which are put aside like his quota, and other things he should not accept, because those things belong to the Supreme Lord. That is, we're not to collect too much, and because collecting too much also, will create enmity between, people, or, the what do you say, other relatives as such. But there are 6 favorable things and 6 unfavorable things. So if I'm not atyahara prayasascha agar nahi karna hai, if I don't have to do this, then what do I do? Then the opposite is, then he's saying that the 6 preeti lakshanams I develop, right? The 6 loving exchanges that are there, right? That what are those 6 loving exchanges?
Dadati pratigrihnati.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Dadati pratigrihnati guhyam akhyate prichati bhungte bhojayate. So dadhati prati, these 6 loving exchanges, I will actually develop in the association of devotees, which will help me advance in my spiritual life completely. And when we see, when we follow these 6 loving exchanges, these will actually in itself remove all the hindrances of our spiritual life. Because six there are some do's also and some don'ts also. So in the do's, actually these 6 loving exchanges come: utsaha, nishchay, dhairya, enthusiasm, patience, determination. These are the do's which will help us to advance in our Krishna conscious life, other than doing prajalpa, or atyahar, or all the other non required things in spirituality. So I think we'll go to the next shloka.
Anasuya Mataji.
I'll just share the screen. Okay.
Anasuya Mataji, you can read the shloka. And Anita Mataji, you can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams. ग्राम्यधर्मानिवृत्तिश्च मोक्षधर्मारतिस्तथा मितमेध्यादानं शाश्वत विविक्तक्षेमसेवनम्. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Translation.
Mataji, Karpagavalli Mataji has done.
Krishna. Yes, Mataji, you can read, Mataji. I'll give the chance later.
Okay. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. One should cease performing conventional religious practices and should be attracted to those which lead to salvation. One should eat very frugally and should always remain secluded so that he can achieve the highest perfection of life.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you very much. So see, over here where he's saying that Gramya Dharma Nivrittascha, one should avoid those duties which are leading us to material attachment. And Moksha Dharma Ratis Tatha, Rati means attachment or absorption. So he can be absorbed in those which is leading to moksha, that is liberation. And then what should he do? Mita Medhya Adanam. He should eat pure food which is in moderate qualities. Like we discussed even previously, not binging as such. And he's saying Shashvat Vivikta Kshema Sevanam, and living always in a secluded place and in a peaceful place. So now this also text again is coming under Yam and Niyam also, where it is Gramya Dharma Nivritta, Moksha Dharma Rati, Mita Medhya Adanam, Shashvat Vikta Kshema Sevanam. So one should avoid those duties which are there, because see, even in the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, where in the 17th chapter, 8th shloka, Krishna says that Ayu Sattva Bala Rogaha Sukha Priti Vivardhanaha Rasaya Snigdha Sthira Hridaya Adara Satvika Priyaha. So this is actually food in the mode of goodness. They increase the duration of life and it increases the strength and health and happiness and satisfaction. And such foods are juicy, they are pleasing to the heart, they are wholesome, they are fatty. So food in the mode of goodness, Krishna is saying. He's saying what? He's saying Ayu Sattva Bala Rogayaha Sukha Priti Vivardhanaha. So what the food is in mode of goodness, and Vivardha is to increase. It increases what? It increases the Ayu, Sattva, Bala, Arogya. And so what is our duty? Our duty is that we have to take care of this particular body, because it is the tool for dharma. Maintaining a body is also actually our duty. So there is a say that, when you eat 1/4 of what that maintains you and 3/4 of what maintains your doctor. So Ayurveda says that we should eat up to 50% of our stomach. Remaining 25% is water and air, so that, even the prana and jala can help us digest. So Prabhupada has translated that food can increase one's life, and it can purify his existence also. And of course, in Hindi there is a saying, "Jaisa anna vaisa man." What goes inside affects us inside, So that is not very physical, but of course, even on an emotional and a spiritual level also, whatever way we interact with matter, that interaction also has its effects in its effect. It affects and it shapes our even perception. Like, for example, if someone has seen some very, obscene scene, and that is just the same color and same shape, but when our eyes see it, it affects our consciousness. It creates a certain kind of mentality within us. So now with the food, we feel a little of, sometimes we feel attraction, sometimes we feel repulsion also. And these are the two effects with the food that we experience. Sometimes we say, I don't like it. Sometimes we say, okay, I like it. But there is even much more to it. Actually, food shapes our consciousness at a very subtle level. In Ayurveda, it is said that that is why we become what we eat. Modern science, generally thinks in very gross terms, but when food is cooked with love and devotion, and love and devotion for Krishna, so it helps us in bhakti. And if we eat food cooked by a karmi, then the mind becomes very wicked. Means it starts thinking about self-centeredness, desires, and it thinks about only his own well-being. He cannot think about the others, and that is why it is said that dushta mana haile nahi krishnera smarana. When this mind becomes wicked, it can never ever think about Krishna at all. And that is why the food that we eat can purify us in a very, very proper way if it is made in a proper manner and with a proper consciousness. So Krishna talks about food in the mode of goodness, because the food gives us energy, and if we eat more, then we feel loaded onto our stomachs, and that is why he's saying that sukha priti vardhanam. It also talks about even the emotional aspect also, that we feel happy, you know and we feel satisfied also. So if we take food in the mode of passion rather than feeling satisfied, then we feel agitated. We feel like craving for more and more. We never get satisfied with the food that is in the mode of passion. So, and that is why he's saying that rasaya snigdha sthira hridaya. So what kind of foods he's saying that? He's saying rasaya, juicy food, snigdha, snigdha means fatty, or sthiraha, enduring, and hridaya, which is pleasing to the heart. And he's saying that uh, ahara satvika priya. So then such, uh, juicy foods or fatty foods, they are actually in the mode of goodness. See, if you see that when we say fatty food is, like not, any connection with this animal fat. Okay. Animal fat, of course, is available in the form of milk and all, which is really wonderful. But he's talking about slaughter, where, they slaughter animals, they butcher animals, and in a very brutal way, actually, they slaughter those animals. So he's saying that not about this animal fat. Okay. He's talking about milk products, where nowadays, okay, milk, they say that milk is also, vegan, and then they say that we don't take milk also. But see, because they think it is like a violence, but milk in itself is very, very conducive for our Krishna consciousness if it is taken in moderate quantity. So when we take milk, it is actually helping our nerves to accept Krishna consciousness in a more better way. And that is why then, he says about, milk. And of course, even in the 6th chapter, where he's talking about, this ahar. So he says that 6.7 or 17 it is. Yukta hara viharasya yukta chetasya karmaso yukta sotnana bodhasya yoga bhavati dukha. He's saying that anybody who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, working, he can mitigate all these material pains by, this yoga system. So Krishna is saying that yukta aharasya. Yukta means see, this word yukta na is coming from this word yoga only. And this yoga, yogi, yukta. Many times Krishna has used these words in the Bhagavad Gita only. But Prabhupada is saying that yukta harasa viharasa is the one who is regulated in eating. And then vihara means what? Entertainment. So somebody might wonder, you're speaking Mataji about Ashtanga Yoga. And Ashtanga Yoga mein, where is this vihar coming? In the jungle, kaun sa vihar hone wala hai? Or what entertainment this is going to get? But actually, when this yogi, when even yogis, can take a break. Because now when a yogi is doing meditation, sitting in the asana and doing meditation, it is very hard work. See, I was hearing one lecture the other day of His Grace Braj Bihari Prabhu. And he's saying that sitting down and doing nothing in itself is a very hard task. You can practice 5 minutes a day. You just sit, do nothing. Don't think about anything else. That in itself is also, it's a hard work. So one may need a break. And he may go for a walk, or, he can just go ahead and see the beauty of the jungle. And that is pretty fine. And see, Bharat Maharaj also, he was seeing the deer. And saving him, it was not wrong. In a way, the yogi should be aware of what is happening around, and taking this beauty of the nature and getting refreshed. But that is also part of yukta viharasya. So beyond that yukta, this yukta viharasya is yukta chetasa karmaso, which means that whatever karma I am doing or the yogi is doing, he should do it in a very regulated way. Because sometimes people take jobs, up to like 18, 19 hours or 15, 16 hours, and very unavoidable circumstances. Some, of course, even I have suffered, projects and deadlines, and, so much it is unavoidable. But in general, we will choose a career which will involve that kind of work, which is a little less materially less hassle, job, and spiritually a little uplifting, where we will balance it out. So we want our material and spiritual life to go on parallel lanes, where we have time for even material life and we have time for even spiritual life. So if material life starts, taking the quota from the spiritual life, then that is a big problem, and we need to check on that. That where, like, I can tell my own example that why did I switch from being a software engineer to a teacher is that the material life was actually taking away my spiritual life. It was stressful. It was affecting my health to a greatest extent as such, and that's why I quit, the IT job, and I actually came into teaching line, where I felt that okay, lesser hours and a lesser hassle, and there are no deadlines. You just teach the children who are very innocent, and then you just move away as such. And post that also, another upgradation that I did is I left my, teaching job also. And I just take home tuitions, maybe just 3 hours a day. And that's enough for my, sustenance. So, but I specifically remember that when I was very frustrated and too much of stress with my IT job, I had gone to my spiritual master and I told him that this is what is happening with me, and it is taking away my spiritual life. I'm not able to do any preaching as such. Maybe I'm just able to, chant my rounds and just read a couple of shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita or the Bhagavatam. But I'm not able to do anything beyond that, because sometimes so much of pressure you have, deadlines you have. So he suggested me take a job which is less hassle. I said, then which could be the one? What do you think, according to my psychophysical nature, would be, better for me? He says, get into teaching line. And that's how I got into actually teaching line. And he says, you're already doing it. You're already teaching Bhagavad Gita to the children. You're already teaching Bhagavad Gita to the girls. You just have to teach something material to the other children. So you're completely into that particular line. And that's how, so this is what he's saying, that material life starts taking this quota of the spiritual life, and then we may have to reshuffle our career plans and choose work that will have some intelligent. That is, he's saying that yukta chetasa karmaso. So it is not detrimental to our spiritual life, but it should we should be able to balance out it. And then he's saying that Yukta swapnasya bodhasya. So even regulated in sleeping also. Some people will sleep for 10 hours and, keep on sleeping, but regulated sleeping also. So when one is regulated in this way, this practice of this yoga, then that is why yogo bhavati dukkha. So dukkha means what? Ha is actually destruction. And hanti is, destruction of this misery. So regulation of material activities are required. Otherwise, this practice of yoga is not very focused. And if this happens, it will not lead to fruitful results. Then liberation from miseries does not come out. We'll keep on having miseries and all. Sometimes there are disturbances, like somehow we are finishing our chanting, but if that's not done in a daily way, then that is not even sustainable way of practice. Then we will not make spiritual advancement also in any way. Some advancement will be there, but serious advancement will not really happen. That is why I'm saying that yogo bhavati dukkha. So for yoga, uh, which will lead to fruit, the regulation with that matter is actually required. So that is why, because see, the soul is actually surrounded by matter. And we are trying to connect that soul to Krishna with the spiritual realm. But when matter is not regulated, when the externals are not regulated, then the internals, then the consciousness is caught up in matter and will not be able to focus on, Krishna. Then when regulation is there, one does not need to think too much about material things. This is the time I will sleep and this is the time I'll wake up and this so many hours I will, sleep. This is my regulated things. And His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu says that same place and same time. This is the secret to his success. If you see, he wakes up at around like 2 o'clock, 2 to 4, he'll do his reading. And 4 to 6, he will actually do Mangla Arati and chanting his rounds till 6:37. 7 to 8, he will, go for a walk. And while going for a walk, he's going to hear Srila Prabhupada's lecture also. So all the aspects of bhakti from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock are completely, taken care of. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Nidadhyasanam, everything is taken care of. And that is why he says that regulated life is more important. Same place and same time. Same place means also what? Same place you are chanting. Same place you are studying. Your place, he calls it as a sacred place. I'm sure many of you all must have heard him. And he says that you should have your sacred place in your own house. That sacred place will be your space over there where you don't have too many distractions as such. So these regulated, when we are regulating these things, okay, occasionally we are too tired or we may rest a little more, but in general, if we are regulated, our energy is free from doing many other things. Time expands in a way when things are regulated. Sometimes when people are not regulated in sleeping, there is a conflict to sleep more and get up. It takes like 1 hour and 1.5 hours also. So many times people just put off their alarms, they go to sleep again. So there are people who use all different kinds of alarm also, but sometimes somehow trying to wake up, their alarm will keep on ringing and it will fall into pieces also, but they will not be able to wake up because uh, there is no regulated time, same time for sleeping, same time for waking. But if there is a regulated time for eating, we will not be thinking about it. Should I take, the snacks or, should I do this? So the mental energy is freed for more purposeful engagement. Otherwise, mind is always hankering about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And that is why, it gets, dissipated in that way. So that is why he's saying that a regulated way of eating. Let's go to the next shloka.
Hare Krishna. Karpagavalli Mataji, you can read the shloka. Now Kishori Mataji, you can read the translation. Hare Krishna.
I think I'm going beyond time. I don't know whether you all are happy with it.
Hare Krishna. No, Mataji, we have time. Mataji still.
Hare Krishna, Nandasana Mataji. Aginsa satyam aste yam yavas asya parigraha brahmacharyam tapasaucham vedaya purushacharanam. Thank you, Mataji. Translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One should practice non-violence and truthfulness, should avoid thieving and be satisfied with possessing as much as he needs for his maintenance. He should abstain for sex life, perform austerity, be clean, study the Vedas and worship the supreme form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Thank you for reading that. So see, he is saying that ahimsa satyam asteyam. So one should practice ahimsa, satyam, and asteyam means, you should not, take away somebody else's property. That's called theft. And yavad artha parigraha. He should only accept whatever is necessary. And brahmacharyam taposocham. He should, practice celibacy. He should tapa, austerity, and socham, cleanliness. And he's saying that swadhyaya purusha archanam. He's saying that one should study. Swadhyaya means to study the Vedas, and purusha archanam. Purusha means there is only one Purush. And who is that Purush? That is Krishna. So what he has to do is to worship the Supreme Lord. Now again, this particular shloka also comes under yam and niyam. Why? Because you're practicing ahimsa, satyam, asteyam, yavad artha parigraha, brahmacharyam, tapa, socha, swadhyay, as such. So he's saying that one should accept what is necessary and not for more than what is required. So of course I have discussed about this, but we might just discuss about ahimsa and satyam and asteya and brahmacharyam and all these. In the 6th chapter also of the Ashtanga Yoga, there are 8 stages of Ashtanga Yoga: yam, niyam, asana, pranayam. So in yam and niyam, there are 5 elements of each of them. Like when I say ahimsa, means you act in such a way that others give up their enmity towards you. When you say satyam, what will we say will be endowed with power and will come out true. And isko kehte vaka siddhi, means whatever I will say, it will come out true. So what purity will I maintain, that even if I say something, it will come. Like, for example, we have all our acharyas. Whatever they used to say is to come out to true. Like Prabhupada, whatever he desired happened. So that is truthful. And then he's saying that asteya. So asteya means what? That if you are following with proper rules and regulations, then instead of taking somebody else's wealth, proper wealth will come to you, which you can utilize in Krishna consciousness or propagating Krishna conscious activities. And then he's saying that brahmacharyam. Brahmacharyam means what? Brahmacharyam means somebody will attain that power if he is following strict celibacy. And aparigraha, he's saying that insight into he will have this karmic reactions will not trouble him more, because currently what is happening, my karmas are affecting me, or my past karmas are affecting me, or my present karmas will affect me in the future. So Krishna is talking about in the Bhagavad Gita, he's talking about all these different parts of yoga, and he's talking about even many other aspects of this particular yoga. So if you see that even these 5 elements which are talked about, this ahimsa, and in ahimsa also means what? That of course, Prabhupada actually in that purport is explaining that, and in many places also is explaining that ahimsa means non-violence. Okay. And non-violence means only that when we are in this material world, to some extent, himsa is inevitable. Like, when we are eating some food, some germs might enter or some microscopic living entities may even die. But beyond that, Kshatriya has to kill. But when the person is following that renounce order, he has to follow ahimsa. So in general, the Vedic culture will encourage some amount of violence, but no violence to the others. So this is one of the yama in the path of yoga. Now, Patanjali also describes each of these yamas, and the result of following these yamas is that others will give up their enmity towards you. You behave in such a way. So when people will feel threat and will feel that, will feel that threat, oh, I have a threat from this person. So what will happen? That they will commit some violence, and then they'll become more violent towards us. So if they see that we are not going to be violent, then in many ways their violence will decrease and it will go away also. So this practice of ahimsa leads other living entities to give up their enmity. Just give me a minute. Then he's saying that Satyam. Satyam means speaking truthfully. Okay. And it is like one of the virtues, you can say. And it is an important, even modern principle also. But people who are habitually speaking lies, to get their ways, they observe, they want to, speak lies because they have some ulterior motive, or they want to show themselves greater than the others. And that is why they might speak lie of the other person also. So, when people who speak lies, they get their ways, observe that their way is obstructed by lack of trust, which others have. So when people speak lies, others will find out he's speaking lies. So then that person does not become trustworthy. We can, they're saying that we can fool some people some of the time and some people all the time, but we can't fool people all the people at all the times. So people will eventually find out that even if they don't exactly catch us, they realize that this person, he's playing around the truth. So that is why Satya is like a virtue, even in mundane morality also. So in yogic morality, it is very important. And even Patanjali says that when we speak the truth, what is that result? That whatever we will speak will be endowed with power and it will come true. Satyavrata, Satya Sankalpa, Satya Vaka. All these are used to glorify those who are connected with the truth. Satya Sankalpa is referring to those whose desires come out to be true. And Satya Vak means what? Or Vaka Siddhi means what? A person, whatever he will speak, he will, speak the truth, and whatever he'll speak will come out to be the truth. But Satya Vrata means what? Whatever vow he keeps, that vow also will come out to be true. So this person speaks the truth, and or whatever this person speaks becomes true, and the power of that speech of that particular person. So that person, he'll speak very cautiously, very seriously, and others will also respect that particular person. And it is not that, okay, we want respect for ourselves, but we are representing the Supreme Lord, who is the ultimate truth. And that is why we need to speak truthfully. Right? Now, if you see with Prabhupada, one of the examples I could really cite is that Prabhupada has desired that, whenever there was an external attack on ISKCON, he used to tell his devotees, or he used to tell his disciples that you just give me 1 minute, okay? Sorry for that. So in Prabhupada's time, what happened that whenever there was attack on ISKCON, Prabhupada suggested that you all sing Narshing Aarti. Now, Narshing Aarti, why Prabhupada asked, and till date we are singing Narshing Aarti, because of his one word. Now Krishna becomes binded that, okay, my pure devotee has said to his disciples that if you sing Narshing Aarti, all the obstacles in your spiritual path will be gone. There will be no obstacles in your spiritual path. To follow that word of Prabhupada, and that is why he's saying that truthfulness, because it comes out to be true. So Krishna also becomes binded to follow that particular word of a pure devotee. And that is why we sing Narshing Aarti, because Prabhupada has told us that any obstacle in your spiritual life, sing Narshing Aarti. And that is why we need to speak the truth, so that whatever we say, whatever we do, whatever we desire, because see, our desire will be exactly in line with Krishna's desire. Whatever we say will be in line with our scriptures, Guru Sadhu Shastra. And that's how this aspect of truth will come out to be true. And then he's saying that asteya, true wealth will come to us. Means what? That when a person does not try to steal wealth from the other person, he does not try to cheat people, he does not try to loot people, or he does not try to forcefully take something, then real wealth. And what is that real wealth? Spiritual wealth will come to us. And then he's talking about brahmacharyam. Brahmacharyam means, of course, celibacy. You follow the path of celibacy, because see, there are two Shaktis. One is Vichar Shakti and one is Vani Shakti. And these two are actually, Shakti means what? It is energy. And that is our energy. I have a proper energy for thinking also, and I have an energy for speaking also. But if I'm not following this, so what is happening is, they say, that walk your talk, right? So when we don't walk our talk, and how will we walk our talk? When our thought process is only wrong, when our vichar shakti is only not proper, when our consciousness is only in a proper way. So then that is why when you have brahmacharya, or when you're following celibacy, then that will help us into becoming a very spiritually potent people. The brahmacharis are very spiritually potent by the power of that following their brahmacharya. And that's called the dharana shakti also. And for all these reasons, Prabhupada said that one of the reasons Gandhi was so successful is because he had no weapons. He did not have anything, but he had practiced brahmacharya. And that gave him that power. So, aparigraha. Aparigraha means in the sense that whatever insight into this karmic cause of our present situation there, that actions will impact our future also. My present tense will affect my future. And aparigraha means that one does not possess things unnecessarily. One does not have, some, acquiring mentality or possessing mentality. So that's how, he does not become a very possessive person. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Not that way. So these are the 5 aspects of yama. Then there are 5 aspects of even niyama also. Like he should be clean, socha, santosha, tapa, swadhyay, Ishwar paridhana. Socha means detachment from all, selfish mentality or materialistic bonding or, or bodily conscious. Santosha means, the highest happiness, that you're very satisfied. And tapa means it is removing all the impurities and it is making a body perfect. It makes the body and senses perfect for practicing Krishna consciousness. And Swadhyay means what we are doing now. We are actually connecting with the God on a Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya on a daily basis. And Ishvara Paridhana means perfect Samadhi. Of course, now all these again, to explain and all will be more detailed and the class will really extend as such because every aspect has so much of detailed in this Ashtanga Yoga. In fact, there are even 5 stages in mind control also. The Mudha, the Kshipta, the Vishikta, or the Ekagrata, the Nirodha. The Mudha means what? Somebody is, deluded in sleep and he's lazy. Or Kshipta means he's very much agitated or in stress. Or Vishikta means he's distracted, Or Ekagrata means what? He's completely concentrated. He's a very serious student, like that. And Nirodha means that he's completely absorbed in Samadhi or in the love of Godhead that way. So, of course, maybe some other time I can discuss all these, yam, niyam, and asan. But maybe I would like to halt over here. And I'm sorry we couldn't take the 5th shloka. 5th shloka, maybe somebody else can, continue with the 5th shloka. If anybody has any questions, queries, doubts, we can just.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji. Crystal clear explanations. People liked it, and people are saying that please share the recording in the group because they want to hear once again. And I know, Mataji, because there is too much in these 5 shlokas for you to explain, but then also you have done a justice. So thank you so much. Now, because it's already 11, we can only take one question of Suma Mataji. Yeah, Suma Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Mataji, pranams, Mataji. It was an excellent class, Mataji. Though I could understand very little. Hare Krishna. Mataji, this is for the Bhakti yogis or the practicing devotees, Mataji. In today's class, what we read, or for the Ashtanga yogis, it is like.
This is for the Ashtanga yogis also. But how can Bhakti yogis follow this?
Yes,
externally, if you are regulated, then internally you can make Krishna your home. Right now, what is happening with us is that we are not making Krishna our inner home. So to make Krishna my inner home, all these externals are required. So my inner soul will be very peaceful. My inner mind will be very peaceful. And if my mind is peaceful, then I can very perfectly connect with Krishna. I can understand his instructions, what he is desiring from me. I can understand the instructions of my spiritual master. I can understand his mood. I can understand his mission also. But if the externals are only, not in its proper place, then internals will be affected, right? Sometimes the external atmosphere affects the internal body also. Too much of heat, a person falls ill, or too much of cold, it's numbness, falls sick also. That is why we need to follow all these yam, niyam, asanas and all, controlling the mind and all. From a Krishna conscious point of view, we take it. Because in bhakti, to control the mind is very important. And Ashtanga Yoga is helping a person to control his mind from the externals to the internals. And bahar se hum log, we are going from outside to inside we are going, which is helping us focus. See, only if I would have said you that, okay, Suma Mataji, from today onwards, please focus your mind on Krishna only. Nothing doing anything else, doing nothing. But you just focus your mind on. Would it be really, possible as such? Not possible. But if I tell you, okay, these are some of the rules and regulations, and you start following these, and slowly, slowly, it will help us for the final, focusing our mind only on the lotus feet of Krishna or hearing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Currently, the mind is so much, troubling us with so many other things. Like, I have to cook and I have to fetch the children from school and, I have to go over here and I have to go over there to bring, the grocery. Or for a businessman, I have to give checks to this person and I have to, increase my business in this. There are so many distractions for us. But when you start practicing the externals, then the internals will be pretty much, you can say, silent and shant, and you'll be able to focus more. In fact, Ashtanga Yoga, you can take it as that it will help me develop my relationship with Krishna. Currently, my relationship has not even started with Krishna at this particular stage, but it will help me to dive deeper into my relationship with Krishna. We are currently on the surface level, but if I want to dive deep, then Ashtanga Yoga will definitely help me. Regulated sleeping, regulated eating, not collecting too much, being satisfied. All these things will help me to connect better with Krishna and ultimately achieve my goal, which is to please Krishna. At the time of death, I'm remembering Krishna only. And so all these other factors are required. Like, for example, I want to make a very nice halwa. Okay, so what is required? Suji is required, and ghee is required, and sugar is required, and dry fruits are required, and cinnamon is required, and cardamom is required. So these are the ingredients, you can say, to make a perfect halwa. So these Ashtanga Yoga, this Yam Niyam Asana and all these rules and regulations are perfect for me to develop my relationship and dive deep into my relationship with Krishna. And when I dive deep into this relationship with Krishna, then the relationship is more sweeter and full of nectar. Because in that relationship, there is only selflessness involved. There is not much of selfishness involved or self-centeredness involved. I'll selflessly serve Krishna, and Krishna will also selflessly reciprocate with me. So that is why we are following these.
Thank you so much, Mataji. It was so very well, nicely explained. Mataji, thank you so much, Harish.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, pranam. I don't have words to say what I have felt today, Mataji. It was so much application based, While we keep hearing that connect with Krishna, focus on japa. While all our efforts are there, I'm sure, I don't know about the others, but with me, I really try hard, but your today's lecture was so much application based that I would want to listen to it over and over again and it feels like Mataji might just humble request, if you have time, please do come on more frequently, and if on Fridays or Saturdays, if you could, I don't know about Narayani Mataji can coordinate better.
I can come on Fridays. Saturdays would be difficult because I'm giving a Bhakti Shastri class during this time only. It would be difficult. But weekdays, anytime I can come in the mornings. From Monday to Friday, I'm available in the morning.
I request Narayani Mataji, if that is possible.
Yeah, definitely, Mataji, definitely. No problem.
Mataji, all prayers on your lotus feet, Mataji.
Yeah. Mataji, there is just one quick thing. Lakshmi Narayan Mataji is saying, Mataji, can we say Ashtanga Yoga helps us to be in Bhakti Yoga?
Yes, it will help us to be, even it will enhance our Bhakti Yoga process. It will speed up our Bhakti Yoga process. Yeah. Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu is, I know him very well. He is my Bhakti Shastri student. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Okay, Mataji. So with your permission, we'll end the class.
Yeah.
Mataji, Bhakti Shastri you are taking weekly, or how are you taking it?
On Saturdays, I'm taking. So the Saturday is the English class and Sunday is the Hindi class. And on Sunday itself is the Hindi Bhakti Vaibhav class also. Currently, we are with Canto 1 and we'll be soon moving to Canto 2. But in case you want Canto 2 classes, they're there on my portal, on my YouTube channel, Krishna Rupa Official, you can say RUPA Rupa.
I saw Mataji.
Official, all my Bhagavad Gita classes, all my Bhakti Shastri classes and Bhakti Vaibhav classes on Canto 2, Canto 3 are available on the YouTube channel. You can go and, visit over there.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnavindi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Gaur Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna to everyone. Shall I end the session, Mataji?